Hey everyone, Trucker John here. So as you saw from the title of this video, this is going to be my 1 year review of Prime. And did I give some clickbait? Am I quitting? Well, you have to stay tuned towards the end of the video to find out. As you can see, I'm not on my truck. I'm actually in one of our bunk rooms here at the Prime terminal. Truck's just getting looked at right now, and we'll be back on it. Anyways, so I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience here with Prime. For most of you that have watched me from the very beginning, you'll know that I joined Prime a year ago, had no tractor trailer experience. I actually came from the motor coach industry. COVID-19 shut that down. We didn't know for how long. And yeah, I kind of took a step back, kind of semi-retired, I guess you could say. And 3 months later, I just figured I got to get back to work, got to do something. And I figured getting my CDL Class A was the right road for me. And as I transitioned into becoming a truck driver, I also created this channel. So we're going to talk about all that right now in this video and what I think about Prime overall as a company. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something good. I came up with 5 different things to talk about. So I'm going to say something good about the company and something that I think the company can work on to make themselves better. Or sometimes it's not really just the company, it might be just the trucking industry in general that I might be talking about, but it all ties back to my experience here with Prime and my overall review of the company. So starting off, first thing I wanted to talk about was the pay. Prime definitely has a really good pay structure, whether you're going to be a company driver or a lease operator or owner operator. They have a really great pay scale. Now, there are some other companies out there that may pay a little better, and that's why you should do your research to go find out what's best for you. Some of them may pay a little more, but they may also require a different set of skills or experience level versus what Prime requires before you join them. You have to remember that Prime is a training company. That's their main thing. They train people. This is a stepping stone company. Now, some people can make it a career, which there's no problem. You can be very successful with Prime and make a lot of really good money. But I would say overall, this is a great stepping stone company. Get your experience, learn the trade, and move on to something to where you can really make a lot of money. And a lot of people do that as well, and there's nothing wrong with that. So one negative thing I will say with that, that's the good thing, the pay, right? Really good pay structure. What I will say is the downfall with Prime is, and again, this is trucking industry wide. This is not just Prime, okay? But Prime participates in this, so it's partly on them, and that would be their detention pay. So, I mean, detention pay can be a good thing, right? Because as a company driver, you get paid by the mile. So if you're not driving, if you're not racking up miles on the truck, you're not getting paid. So what happens when you get to a shipper or receiver or somewhere where you're waiting for hours and hours and hours before you can start getting those miles back on the truck? Well, they have this thing called detention pay. Generally across the board, when you get to a shipper or a receiver, they have 2 hours, a 2-hour window from your appointment time. Generally, okay, it's not always like this. I'd say 95% of the time you have an appointment time, you arrive on time, and they have 2 hours to get you checked in, get your dock, start unloading your truck, get you unloaded, give you your paperwork, and you leave their facility. Most places they give you a 2-hour window. Anything beyond that, you get what's called detention pay. So basically they're wasting your time at that point, so they are going to pay you. So that's a good thing about it, right? Now, there's a different pay scale altogether with that. Whether you're a company driver or a lease operator, owner operator, there are 2 different pay scales. As a company driver, I don't know the exact numbers, guys, but I do know that company drivers, it pays a little less. You don't get as much. I want to say it's $15 to $20 an hour. Now, don't quote me on that, okay? As far as the owner operators, lease operators, they get a significant more amount. Driving Theo's truck as an owner operator truck, I know I would get sometimes anywhere from 15-minute increment pays of like $20 every 15 minutes. I've gone all the way up to like $100 per hour waiting. And there's usually a cap, right? So yeah, you'll probably be there for 6 or 7 hours past your 2-hour window. So you'll get $100 an hour for every time you're there, right? But that caps out. So most of the caps are like $500 or $600, which still isn't bad. $500 or $600 a day, and you're not running the truck. You're not consuming fuel. There's no wear and tear happening. So that's actually pretty good money. And in most cases, that will reset at midnight. So the next, if you really were delayed and you're over past midnight and you're into the next day, that will reset to where, okay, now you're getting paid $100 per hour or whatever their rates are. Now, the bad thing about that is Prime gets their cut, okay? Prime gets 27% of whatever you make in your detention pay. So if I made $600, now this is ideal situation. If I made $600 in my detention pay, Prime will deduct 27% of that because their truck was not moving. They're not making money, so they need their percentage. They need to get paid also. Now, what really is the downfall with detention pay is it's on the shipper or the receiver to approve detention pay and authorize it, and it kind of goes into like an arbitration almost, where they can negotiate with Prime and say, well, let's, instead of paying you $600, let's cut it down to $450, and they negotiate. They'll go back and forth with Prime and say, well, no, let's pay this instead of that, and Prime has to kind of go with that, or else they could just not pay at all, and then it has to go into arbitration. There's a whole process. It could take weeks and weeks, sometimes months, before Prime can actually get any of that detention pay from the shipper or the receiver, and by that point it's probably dwindled down to a very low amount, $200, and then Prime still has to take their 27% from that. So you're really, sometimes I was expecting $600 or $700 detention pay, and I only ended up getting like $200 or $300. So I really feel like, in most jobs, most normal jobs, your normal 9 to 5, Monday through Friday type jobs, if you worked overtime, if you did extra work, if you did something to where you were supposed to be compensated, that better be on your next paycheck, or the law could be broken at that point. They have to pay you that. That's just the way it is. But it doesn't work in trucking like that. It doesn't work like that. They can negotiate what you were supposed to get paid. It's like, well, yeah, you're supposed to get paid $600, but we're only going to give you $200. And there's nothing you can do about it. You can't fight it. Now, I'm not an expert in detention pay. It's not like I did it all the time, but I have had several times where I've had to get detention pay, and it was always cut down significantly from what I thought it was going to be, from what I put in for. And I kept track of it, and yeah, it's really infuriating because it's really frustrating for me now. This is my personal opinion here. I really dislike waiting at shippers and receivers for, I can understand 4 or 5 hours, which is a long time, but I've been stuck at some shippers and receivers for a day. Some of these produce loads, I've been stuck on a load for 3 days before I could start moving, and my paychecks hurt because of that. And on the owner operator side and the lease side, it hurts them also because they're not making any revenue, or they're losing revenue that they could have been making by moving that truck on time. Moving on to the next great thing about Prime as a company is their equipment. When you come to Prime, you're going to be getting basically brand new equipment. Now, that truck may have 200, 300,000 miles on it, but it's probably still only 2 years old, and it's been maintained, and that's normal. That's actually normal for a truck that its job is to run all the time. And I think some people don't realize that, and I know I didn't really understand that at first, because you have your personal car, bought your car from the dealership, and you probably put 30,000 miles on it, in a year because you just drive it to work and back and to the grocery store and back, and maybe on a vacation trip somewhere and back. That's probably the longest it's ever gets driven, right? And I would say at the most you'd probably put on a personal vehicle would be 40 or 50,000 miles in a year, and that's if you drive a lot and commute a lot. Well, with a truck, that's its job, is to drive, right? So it's constantly moving. It's driving. I got Calypso. I got my truck in May, and this is already, we're in October, and I have 54,000 miles on it. So in less way, 4 months, was it May, June, July, August, September, October, 5 months. So in just about 5 months, I put 54,000 miles. So, I mean, if I were to say 10 months, that's over 100,000 miles. So 12 months a year, I'm putting 120,000 miles or so. I'm not a math guy, but I'm pretty sure it'd be way over 100,000 miles a year on a truck as a solo driver. Now you get some of these trucks that are team drivers and double that. Okay, you can double that number real easy. But the great thing about it is it's brand new equipment. It's supposed to run like that. It's well maintained, especially the company trucks. You come in for your preventive maintenance and you do everything that you're supposed to keep the truck running, and that thing will run forever. My very first truck, the Great Dutchman, had 250,000 miles, I think, on it, and I turned it in. It almost had 300,000, something like that. And man, that truck was great. I had no issues with that Freightliner. It ran perfectly. It ran like a brand new truck, and it was a 2019, I think, or 2020. I can't remember what she was, but that truck ran beautifully. There are trailers. Prime trailers, same thing. They keep them only for a certain amount of miles. They keep them only for a certain amount of years before they sell them. And they bring in brand new equipment all the time, as long as there's not a shortage. So that's one really good thing about Prime, is you're going to get some really great equipment, and you're not going to be one of those guys that's stuck on the side of the road, broke down. At least not. Like I said, that's never going to happen because, of course, things happen. Equipment breaks. It's normal for that to happen. Even in a brand new car, it can break down. But you're not going to see too many Prime vehicles stuck on the side of the road with their hood open, smoking. Nothing like that. Usually it's a flat tire or something else going on with it. There are a lot of gremlins in some of these new trucks, I've learned. So the bad thing about their equipment would be their technology. Way behind. I mean, they're literally living in the 80s and 90s with their communication. The Qualcomms in the trucks are ancient, and they're very frustrating to use. They're very slow. You cannot multitask on them. You can't tell it to do too much at once, or it'll freeze or even just shut down and reboot on you, which happens a lot, even on the brand new units. They're just not what they should be. And that, you would think that would be an easy fix. Get some tablets, get some Android tablets and iPads, whatever. They can connect to the internet just like these devices do, connect through satellite or however they want to do it, through cell service. And there's apps, a million apps you can use in the trucking industry that can make life so much easier and quicker. And I think that's a really big downfall. And I know they're trying to improve the Qualcomm, but see, that's your problem. Why are you trying to improve the Qualcomm? You need to just get rid of it and get some better technology. We're living in the age of technology right now, and you think they could do so much better. And I don't think they're going to, unfortunately, but I really think they should. Another really good thing with Prime is their support staff. This is a $1 billion company. Okay, billion. This with a B, not million. Billion. Prime is a $1 billion company. So they have the money to back you in any situation. If you are broke down out there on the road, they have road assist, and they're quick. The road assist is actually a really decent staff. They take care of you quick, usually, if you can get a hold of them. If you're at one of their terminals, super nice people. They take care of you. Really great staff. The fleet managers are generally all very great people, very knowledgeable. A lot of them are experienced truck drivers, many years. I've had 3 fleet managers total with Prime in my year. One in my PSD training, I had Cameron. My company fleet manager, I had Lance, and my both my TNT training and also my fleet manager right now, John Greenlee, all really great guys, super knowledgeable. They know what they're doing. Sometimes the night crew, they're very limited on what they can do. They're not as knowledgeable. They're basically just covering because we're a 24-hour business. So really a lot of things can't happen until your regular fleet manager is in during regular business hours. So sometimes if you're having an issue at night, it can be a little frustrating because now you're going to have to wait till someone comes in that knows what they're doing. I would say the biggest downfall with staffing when it comes to Prime is the sales department. And I'm not saying that sales department is not good at their job. They're great at their jobs, obviously, because they're the ones that get us dispatch. I think where it comes down to is the communication between sales, between the fleet manager, and between the drivers. There is no communication. That's the problem. And it can be really frustrating sometimes when my fleet manager says that he can't do anything about a specific situation I'm having with a load, or if I'm trying to get a load to a specific area or something. My fleet manager's hands are tied because he's at the mercy of sales to get things rolling for us, and there's no way for me to contact sales. And I have a very strong suspicion that sales, I would say their staff probably does not have experience driving trucks, so sometimes they might not realize what we have to deal with out here. I'll give you one quick example. I can give several, but I'll just give a quick one so this video is not too long. I was in Salinas, California. I just got done getting loaded. I sent in all my Qualcomm information. I called dispatch to say, hey, I'm leaving my shipper. It's like 2 or 3 in the morning, so I got the night dispatcher, the live loaded call dispatcher, and apparently there was a discrepancy in how much product I got on the trailer versus what was actually ordered by wherever we were shipping it to. So I had to go back into the dock manager and say, hey, look, my company is saying that we're short however much product. And the managers looked up the information and said, no, you got everything that we have to give you. Long story short, we're not giving you nothing. You're good to go, right? So now it was my bad, my fault. I left. I started driving, right, without live loaded the caller or sales saying, yeah, you can go. Okay, so that was my mistake. I started driving. So I left Salinas. I made it all the way to like Interstate 5. So if you guys know, that's at least an hour drive. I get to Interstate 5, start heading south to wherever I was going. And I get a call from dispatch saying, hey, you need to go back to the shipper and confirm this information. They are saying that you're short by quite a bit. And I said, well, I did. I went out to talk to the manager. He said that's all that was ordered on their end. And their sales department was saying that that's all they're going to give me. And the dispatcher said, well, sales says you had to drive back you weren't supposed to leave. You had to drive back to the facility. So long story short, I had this argument with the dispatcher and I said, well, let me talk to sales and explain the situation. And that couldn't happen. There is no way I can contact sales or sales can call me. They won't talk to the drivers for whatever reason. So I had to drive all the way back to Salinas just to have the sales manager have their sales manager call our sales to work it out. I was there for maybe 10, 15 minutes before sales finally told my dispatcher, yeah, go ahead and you're clear to go. So just lack of communication. And another downfall for staffing would be, I wouldn't say it's really a staffing issue, but the claims department for me is just a joke. Not that they're not doing their job right. I just don't understand their job. I really feel like it shouldn't be the truck driver's responsibility. It's my job to take product from point A and take it to point B. And as long as it's not my fault that anything got damaged in between that, or if there was too much product ordered or not enough product order, that shouldn't be my fault. And quick example, I'm a mailman, I'm a UPS driver, I'm a FedEx driver. I pick up my stuff, I bring it to your house, I ring your doorbell, I drop it off, and you come out and you say, I didn't order this box, and you give it back to the FedEx or US mail guy, and you tell him you have to take that back to where the shipper was. So that's basically what's happening out here with claims, and it just doesn't make sense. So moving on to driver facilities. All right, moving on to driver facilities. The good thing is the Prime facilities. So we have 3 major terminals, right? So we have the Pittston, we have Salt Lake City, and we have the main terminal, which is in Springfield, Missouri. Now, to this day, I still have not been to the Pittston terminal. Never been there. I heard I'm not missing much, but I still would have liked to have seen it at some point. I would definitely say Springfield might be my favorite, only because of the size, the amenities, and also their cafeteria is open 24 hours. Not to say that Salt Lake City's isn't, but it's not. They just don't have the staffing. They just opened not too long ago, and they're just having a hard time getting it staffed to be open for more than 8 hours a day. But these facilities have everything you would need. They have the service stations for the trucks and trailers, fuel stations, a tire shop, detailing shop, truck washes, cafeterias, restaurants. They have these bunk rooms. They have a gaming center. They have basketball courts. They have a full gym. I mean, you can literally live here at one of these terminals, and I think a lot of people do. A lot of people like to camp out for a while. They call it the black hole because you go in and it's very hard to get out. Very hard to get out of one of these terminals because there's just so many amenities. And if you just stop here to get fuel and get a trailer wash or something, there's a good chance you're still going to get stuck doing something else. It's just the way it works here. Bad thing about driver facilities, and this really has nothing to do with Prime facilities. It actually has nothing to do with Prime facilities. I think I'm talking more about the shippers and the receivers, their facilities for the drivers. Now, you can tell that they used to have drivers' lounges at some of these places, and some of them they still do, depending what state or city you're in. Some of the drivers' lounges are still open, limited to some amenities like coffee and snack machines, a place to lounge, things like that, restrooms. But I'd say the majority, because of the whole COVID and pandemic and social distancing and all this has happened, a lot of these shippers or receivers have decided that truck drivers, their staff's okay, but truck drivers coming into their facility cannot use their amenities. Their driver lounges are either completely shut down, the doors are locked, you can't even get in. They do not allow you to use their restrooms. They don't have any kind of amenities for you. In some of these places, you're there for hours and hours and hours. And there are some shippers and receivers that have 0 bathroom amenities at all. They actually have signs on some of their doors saying truck drivers are not allowed to use the restroom facilities, and it'll give an address to a truck stop that's a few miles away. That's where you need to go if you have to go, which is inhumane. It's ridiculous. I'm sure they would get mad if some of these guys just start peeing on the ground, which I'm sure happens because it does. Some of these places, it smells like they sprayed urine on the ground right before I got there. Now, some places do have porta potties, outhouses, which would you want to use one? Especially doesn't matter what time of year it is. If it's hot during the summertime, it's miserable in one of those things. If it's freezing cold, it's miserable in one of those things. Either way, it's just not ideal to use those, especially when there is a restroom that usually was dedicated to truck drivers, but they don't let us use it. I don't know, I just feel like we're being treated like second-class citizens out here, and it is a little offensive, actually. So that's a really big downfall for driver facilities. Again, not specifically to Prime. This is company industry-wide, but it falls back on Prime as a company because these are our clients, and Prime can say, you know what, you're not treating our drivers with respect, we're not going to do business with you. Of course, that's not going to happen because, again, Prime is a billion-dollar company. There's a reason why, and they don't make their money by telling people we're not going to do business with you. So I totally get that from the business aspect, but your employees are suffering because of that in some situations. And it's just a restroom issue. You know, I could care less if there's a snack machine or a place to lounge. But, you know, some of us drivers that like to run hard can't always make it to a restroom. You know, we're relying on the shipper or the receiver, you know, especially if we're shut down there for hours and hours and hours. You know, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but come on, don't tell somebody you can't use the restroom. You have to drive somewhere else with your truck. You know, like parking's that easy, right? Which brings up another point when it comes to driver facilities is parking. It's probably my number 2 hated thing in this industry. Number 1 being, of course, being away from my family. You know, that'd be my number 1 complaint. Number 2 is parking. I have to plan my day around parking. You know, I have to plan my whole day and my schedule on, well, where am I going to park when I get there? So what time should I leave this morning? You know, if I want to get there at a decent time so I know I have a parking spot. Or in some cases, especially in the reefer division, you don't have that choice because some of our appointments are between midnight and 5 in the morning. So that means we had to shut down somewhere at like 9 or 10 at night, and there's nowhere to park. You know, you see these truck drivers parked on the side of the road on the highway, and that's why. You know, there's just nowhere to go, nowhere to park, especially near the larger areas like Atlanta, LA, New York. I love those places. I just hate driving there because of those reasons. And finally, I want to talk a little about opportunities with Prime as my final positive side here. Now, when I say opportunities, of course, yeah, you're going to make money, right? But I think what a lot of people don't realize is, you know, being a truck driver is not really it's not just a job. Okay, it's a job, but it's not just a job. And I know I've said this before. It's a lifestyle. It's a completely different way of living. You know, that truck is your home. You don't have a house wherever you live anymore. That truck is your house. That's your home. You live on the road. So when I say opportunity, this is a very solitude type job. You know, it's almost like you're in a little prison cell that's mobile, right? So when I say opportunity, I'm talking about the opportunity to make your life better. I've talked to a few people here at Prime that were homeless. You know, they had no money, they were broke, they were homeless, literally homeless, living on the street and nothing. All they had was the clothes on their back, right? And you can tell that they had a hard life up to this point. And they come to Prime and they get a house to live in, that truck. And it's a job and it's a lifestyle that they can transition to that betters them. And of course, they're going to make great money. Anybody's going to make great money doing this job. But imagine being homeless, having nothing, and as long as you can qualify to get into this position, talk about being able to change your life around. You can go from rags to dang near riches. You know, it'd be a true lifetime story. There's just so much opportunity that you can do, and not just with Prime, but any of these trucking training, CR England, Swift, any of these companies. You know, I'm not going to talk bad about any of them if they're providing a better way of life for people. And I think that's the most amazing part about this job and this company and those other like companies, is they can literally take somebody that has nothing and is struggling, really struggling with life, guys, get into this position to where they can really change their entire life around and their families. And I think that's amazing. And another thing that has never really been mentioned or talked about is, you know, if you're in an abusive relationship, if you're trying to get away from something, whether it's an abusive relationship or just maybe some negativity wherever you are at in your life, you know, if you feel like you just want to run away and you need to do something that will take you away from whatever situation you're dealing with, because, you know, some of these people out here just can't get away. You know, they're having such a hard time in their life, whatever that might be. This is a perfect out. Come to this company. Like I said, it's solitude. No one's going to bother you. You can go and you could disappear basically and not have contact with anybody ever again. Now, I'm not speaking from experience, obviously. You guys know I have a great family, but that opportunity is here for those people. If you're homeless, having a hard time, if you're in a situation to where your life is just miserable, whether it's in a bad relationship, an abusive relationship, financial struggles, whatever that might be, this is like the perfect way to get away from that and become a better person and change to become a better life, be a better person. So that, I think, is a really positive thing I wanted to talk about. Talking about solitude now we're going to talk about a few of the bad things about that. So basically mental and physical health, which, thankfully for Prime, and this is a positive thing for Prime, they do have a health and wellness system, and it's a great system. It's on their mobile apps. They have their own website. They do care about our physical and mental health out here. They really do, and they set up tools for us to take advantage of. Now, as far as the physical health, okay, I ran into this issue. It's really hard to stay healthy on the truck, and I don't care how healthy you are and how much you try. You're going to face some sort of health issue out here. It's just I don't think there's a way around it. Even some of these guys that pay the toll before they get into the truck, they can't tell me they don't struggle somewhere when it comes to health. Now, me personally, I try to eat very healthy. I obviously can't exercise that much on the truck like I used to before I started this industry. But I would say I've gained anywhere from 12 to 15 pounds in the year that I've been here, which is a lot. You can't lose 12 to 15 pounds in a year, but you can definitely gain it. And I've gained at least 10 pounds, but I'm gonna guess I've probably gained up to closer to 15 pounds. My oral health has not been the greatest. Not that I don't brush my teeth, but it's different out here. I don't have running water, so I brush my teeth a little differently. I use a water pick before, where now I still can, but it's just a little bit more cumbersome and not as convenient. So I feel like my oral health and my physical health has declined a little in this year I've been here. I can notice the difference. And I think my mental health has been okay, but I have heard stories, and it's got to happen, that some of these guys have mental breakdowns out here. Some people are not meant to just be by themselves. You can go literally weeks without really having human contact or interactions other than talking to somebody on the phone or watching YouTube or talking to somebody at a shipper and receiver for business. You're not really having human connection. At a fuel station, trying to put fuel, going to the truck stop, you talk to the cashier when you buy something. That's the only thing you get. You don't really have that one-on-one real human contact with anybody for weeks or months at a time. It can drive some people crazy. And that's why sometimes, if you notice, you talk to a truck driver, you notice they can talk. Some of these truck drivers can talk. They will talk forever if you let them. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why is they don't really have anyone to talk to other than who they may talk to on the phone. And maybe some of these guys don't even have that. So these guys are gals. So when they do get to have a conversation, they thrive on that and they really take advantage. And for someone who doesn't realize that, they might think, man, this guy talks too much. This girl talks too much. I need to end this conversation. This is starting to get uncomfortable. But I think that just goes into that mental stress. And I'm not going to lie. I've had some, not mental issues, but I've had some small mental breakdowns, especially when I leave home. When I leave home, that first 2 days out on the road, it's tough. It's tough to be away from family, especially when you got children and a wife and everything back at home. It's a really difficult thing. So I think Prime's really done a good job as far as getting some sort of program out there. If you really feel like you're having some sort of mental issue or physical issue, there are people that they have set up where you can call and talk to somebody. So, props to them for doing that. So those are the main 5 good and bad things I wanted to talk about with my review here. I mean, I can make this a 3-hour video if I wanted to really discuss everything. But I just wanted to do this quick 5 good and 5 bad things, the top top things I could think of. So overall for Prime, I think they are a good company. I give them 2 big thumbs up. I give them 5 out of 5 stars. Whatever rating I can give a company, I'd give them a very high rating. Of course, they're not perfect. No company is, but from what I've seen here and the culture that Prime brings to the trucking industry, okay, not just to us Prime drivers, but to the trucking industry in general, it's just a very positive movement into the right direction. Very positive culture, great support staff, an amazing owner. Rob Lowe's is doing it right. Rob Lowe, probably not watching this, but if you are, I want to thank you. You're an amazing person. You've created a really good thing here, and God bless you. It really is amazing. And I don't think any other company, not just trucking, I mean any company, you name a company, I don't think they can really compare to what you've done here. So good job. And we do appreciate that. I know I appreciate it very much. So would I recommend Prime to somebody that wants to get into the trucking industry? Of course I would. Absolutely. Like I said, Prime is a training company. They have an amazing program. Is it the greatest? Probably not. I don't know. There definitely are a few kinks that could be worked out, but nothing that for me would be, a deal breaker. Everything that I've gone through, I think if I had to go back and do it all over again, I would. Absolutely. If I had to go back and choose, well, do I want to go back to Prime, Swift, or another company, Landstar, whatever, I would probably choose Prime again. And if I were to stay as a company driver for the life of my trucking career, I think I would be comfortable staying at Prime. I don't think I would need to go anywhere. Even if the pay was more, I don't think I would be drawn to that because, like I said, the culture and what Prime provides here would be enough for me. And they do pay enough to where it makes it worth it. Sure, you can go somewhere down the road and get paid a few cents more, but are you going to be happy? Is it going to be worth it? Maybe not. Or maybe you will. This is all my personal opinion. Everyone's going to be different. There's going to be a lot of people that have nothing but negative things to say about Prime. Everyone's experience is going to be different. These were my experiences. So overall, highly recommend it. So let's talk about the clickbait. I said I'm going to quit. All right. So yes, it was not clickbait. So yes, I have resigned from Prime as of this recording date. I have turned in my truck. So I don't want to get into too much detail because I'm going to make another video on this. But I did want to officially announce at the end of my review here, I love Prime. They're an amazing company. I highly recommend them. The stars just aligned for me and for Theo. Okay, I'm not abandoning Theo, so I don't want to start any negative rumors or anything. Theo and I are both making some decisions here, okay? Positive decisions. We're both moving into a really good position to where we can better our lives. All right, Theo is getting ready to retire. He's got 2 great trucks that are going to be running. We're looking for great people to run those trucks. I'm still very active in that. I'm very active in Theo's trucks and with some decisions being made there. But I've found some opportunities, and I've spoke to Theo about it, and we've come to the agreement that I think is better for me, better for my family, that I take advantage of some opportunities that have been presented to me. So I'm going to leave it at that because, like I said, I am going to make another video on this process and what's happening with me and what's going on. So I am leaving Prime. This will basically be my last video here on as a Prime employee. Today is my last day. So it's been an amazing adventure. It really has. Not only my experience out here exploring this beautiful country, but also meeting so many people within Prime and throughout the trucking industry, creating this YouTube channel, which again, I never expected it to get over 500 or 600 subscribers. Of course I want more subscribers. Every YouTuber does. Of course I want 100,000, right? I want to be Junior Honduras and have almost 100,000 subscribers and be famous, right? Of course, rich and famous. But man, I cannot believe that I'm over 2,000 subscribers. I'm probably going to hit 3,000 here soon. that's just beyond amazing, and I feel so humbled, and I thank all of you so very much for that. But just know that this is not the end, okay? This is my journey that I'm sharing with everybody, so that this is not the end of Trucker John's YouTube channel, okay? It's going to continue for as long as I can. I'm going to share my next journey with you guys. I'm going to share the transition. I'm going to share everything as I have been doing. So with that said, thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time watching this video, please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you down the road. All right, everybody, and just to prove that there is no hard feelings, I have Theo here, and I just wanted to get it on record here real quick and tell him, for the whole world to know, that this is such an amazing person. He's going to hate me for doing this, because he hates being called out. He doesn't want to be filmed. I'm forcing him to do this. Such an amazing person. If you ever get a chance to train with Theo, guys, look him up, Theo Anderson. Do it before he retires, because there's never been a trainer like him, and there never will be again. Such a great friendship that we got out of this, and I'll tell you what, if I didn't have a dad, I would tell Theo to adopt me. That's how I feel about this guy. Just an amazing person. So Theo, thank you from the bottom of my heart for all the opportunities you've given me. You're an amazing person, and I just want to wish you the best with everything that's going to move forward in our lives here.
Thank you. I appreciate it. John's been a great person. You love him on his channel. He's a family man, and his family comes first, and that's the way it always should be. So, no hard feelings. I wish him the very best. I want his family to be happy. I want him to be happy, and I want all the success in the world for him. And that's what we work for. So, we work to live. We don't live to work. So,
that's right.
I wish him all the world's best, and I'm no hard feelings. I love it.
Thank you, Theo. Love you, buddy.
Bye.
So there goes Calypso with Theo, her new owner. So Theo took the Peterbilt because he's a trainer, and he just wanted the vehicle with the least amount of miles, and plus it's the newer truck, so why not, right? It's his choice. It's his company. And the Freightliner, we did find a really good driver that's going to be taking over that truck. His name is John also. So man, if John were to have gotten Calypso, he just kept the Trucker John logo on the side. It would have matched just fine. But Theo's gonna have that taken off, so if you do see the Trucker John driving down the road here in the next month or so, well, it's not me, it's Theo driving until he gets that taken off. So anyways, we are here about to say goodbye at Prime, and yeah, gonna take a train home. Never taken a train across country before, so it's gonna be fun.